Greetings for the day. I hope you all are doing great and keeping safe. Let's quickly dive into the Agile earned value management aspects. Like, first thing first, let's understand the base concept of any Agile project, how Agile project overall is structured. I understand not all of us have a chance to work for Agile projects, but you know what? The beauty of this topic right here is I'm going to give you a briefer on what agile project overall look like, right? Okay, so nothing new. We have been using, we have ourselves been quite a bit agile in our way of working. It's just that, with agile we have followed 12 principles which actually allowed us to name a couple of ceremonies which we practice in agile projects basically. All right, that's first thing we're going to talk about is how to do the project scope and objective. So basically, you're going to define your project scope and objective. You clearly identify the project goals, deliverables, and the success criteria. You're going to break down the work into the smaller and more manageable units. They are normally called as user stories. You heard the new term here, user story, right? So this is the only difference you have here. Not just that, there are a few more differences. Let's talk about them one by one. The next thing is now you're going to assign value to these user stories. This is the breakdown of work into the smaller chunks, right? So now what you're going to do is you're going to assign a value or weight to each user story or a task based on its relative importance and priority. This value could be based on factors such as business value, customer impact, or complexity. Once you got all this, you're going to make sure you add some effort. You need to estimate the effort along with your team. As any good project manager, you cannot just work in silos. You got to have your team together. You got to sit together and understand and think holistically to be able to put an effort figure for a particular task, because you need to understand a developer might think from the coding perspective. An architect might think from the architecture perspective. A tester might think from the testing perspective, and a BA might think from the requirement refining perspective. So you got to bring all those aspects together and come to a common number. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a common meeting, a working session where you talk about the effort estimation and you bind that number to the user stories. What you have achieved so far is that you are able to define the project scope and objective. You are able to assign the value to a user story per the importance and priority, and then you go on further deep dives to do the effort estimates for those user stories. The next step is a beautiful spot, because now at this moment you are ready to do and determine the planned value. This is going to become a benchmark for you from this point onwards, because you will now then be able to do some earned value matrix analysis. So let's first understand what the planned value means. So planned value represents the planned or the budgeted value of the work to be completed at a given point in time. It is calculated by multiplying the assigned value of each user story or the task by its estimated effort. You got all these numbers together now. Now start plotting together the planned value in a matrix. Next, we're going to understand how we can track the earned value. Basically, earned value represents the value of the work actually completed at a specific point in time. In agile context, it can be measured using techniques like user story points completed or user story points accepted during an iteration or a sprint. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to calculate the schedule performance index, that is called the SPI. SPI measures the efficiency of the project schedule. It is calculated by dividing the earned value by the planned value. An SPI value anytime greater than 1 tells you, or it indicates, that the project is ahead of schedule, while value less than 1 tells us there is some delay that you can then retrospect as well, right? Next, we're going to understand what is the calculated cost performance index, CPI. It is basically the measure of the efficiency of the project's budget, how it's been utilized. It is calculated by dividing the earned value by the actual cost incurred. An SPI value greater than 1 indicates that the project is under budget, while a value less than 1 indicates the cost overruns. Can you see this handy? Can you see this helping out a project manager a lot, isn't it? Like once you got these numbers, once you get your status reports coming in, you can actually start doing the earned value management and try to actually bring forward the matrices which are more indicative of the success of the project towards any deviation that you would like to point out to the management, right? Or for yourself to be able to track or fix as you go along with the project execution. So this is really, really handy. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to analyze variances. What you're going to do is you're going to compare the SPI, CPI values against the predetermined thresholds or targets. You got to understand you have to have some baselines, right? You have to have some benchmarks to be able to gauge few things together. As you gain some experience working with these matrices, you will understand that these figures mean a lot. You can actually identify any significant deviation from the plan, and then you can actually investigate the underlying causes. You can use this information to make informed decisions and then also take corrective actions as required. The best part is you are going to adapt your own planning aspects. So based on the analysis of the variances and the feedback from the agile process, you are very well versed to adjust the project plan, pre-prioritize or prioritize the remainder of the work more effectively. You are then able to communicate and iterate things much more better than ever before. You become more confident in expressing your confidence in your project to your external or per se your internal stakeholders. Remember that agile EVM is a blend of agile and traditional EVM techniques. So it may require some customization and adaptation based on your specific project or your organization context. I just touched at a very high level the basis of how agile projects are being set up and how you can actually carve the traditional EVM into your agile way of working things in your project, right? So you need to understand with time, you're going to mature this process for your team, for your project success. But at the end of the day, the work should resonate the effort you put together, right? So you got to mature the process for yourself. You're going to have iterations of how you implement the EVM in your project, and with time you will see the return of your investment in EVM to be able to better manage your project for your success goals. Well, thank you for listening to me. Once again, I am very blessed to have a great community of people over here, great professional, and please do not miss to give me your feedback. It is very important for me, for my success as well. In the meantime, you all have a fantastic days and weeks ahead. Bye for now.